All right, so we're gonna have a private call then, right, between Mumbles and her sire,
Baron.
Baron. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the sire was dead, unfortunately.
Oh, right, right, right. So as story goes, yes, the doctor had killed your sire, and
Yeah.
revenge
So
was
so
taken. So
yeah,
you're contacting your actual Baron,
Baron.
where you
Yeah,
originate from, which we're
right.
establishing is in Italy.
Yeah,
Cool.
correct.
Alrighty. So you get the call, you go through all the pipelines in order to get to the
Yeah.
thing, which is not an easy task, right?
You have like the signs and counter signs, and oh, the eagle flies halfway through the moon, and then you have to say, "No, it is a nice night indeed, my friend." You know,
All right.
very convoluted.
So without further ado, you actually get hold of
Yeah,
your Baron in Italy,
yeah.
and so I just want to establish something before we get into it. Mumbas
Hmm.
is not your real name; it's your nickname. Your
Yeah,
real
Mumbles
name.
is like her dad was called the knife. She was called Mumbles because she was always just kind of talking. She doesn't really, speak up unless something really important is happening. But yeah, on her character sheet, her real name I had put somewhere. I think it was Heather. I'm not sure. Yeah, her name is Heather.
Okay. So would your Baron call you by your name or by your code name?
Um, just because what happened was, she had her encounter with like these vampires that were messing around with the mafia's business, and they did an attack. Her sire saved her and like kind of took pity on her because she also like lost her dad along the way. Like she doesn't actually know if her real dad, is actually still alive or not. Introduced her to the Baron as like, hey, like she's skilled, we can use her, but I think the Baron, especially, he's probably like a very like an older kindred. Like it doesn't really matter what you were doing when you're a human. Like you are now Mumbles, like daughter of Tommy the Knife. Like you are. I don't think he would refer to her by her human name,
Okay.
although he would know it for sure.
All right.
Because
I just want to make sure we're role playing this correctly. That's all.
yeah,
Okay,
cool.
so Mumbles.
Baron Esposito. I reckon it is. This call was long overdue.
I had thought you forgotten us and you moved on to overseas.
No,
La
I could.
piccola isola de Malta, huh?
Indeed, I could never forget you and what you have done for me. It's just after what happened in London, I thought it better not to contact too often.
Well, even if you tried, the word often is not in my vocabulary,
No. And I only speak up when it is actually important.
as I taught you.
So,
So speak up, child. What can your master do for you?
it is time to stop hiding, and it is time to make all these problems that have appeared over the last weeks disappear. And I would need your help if you'll give it to me. I have a proposition.
I sense only one problem with your invitation.
Okay, what is that?
The Camarilla.
Yeah, the Camarilla.
While I.
Working together with the Inquisition.
Yes, however, you must understand he is an origin of Italy, I believe. Or no, actually, it was Spain. Anyways, matters not where he's originally from. He's a bit of a pain right now. And your current cohydrid is in lines with this notorious Baron of Le San Giuliano. Yes?
Correct. But he's been slipping.
That much I gathered from your message you passed on to me, but how do you propose that I am going to enter onto the island without an official invitation by the other
Well,
barons?
you don't have to go anywhere. So Mumbles is going to take him up to speed. It's what happened with the Baron of Pieta. It turns out that, yeah, it turns out that the Baron of Pieta was doing some interesting experiments, coming very close to reaching the Masquerade. And when we found out, he ran. He is also taken to hiring hunters to kill kindred for his own experiments using something called the dark web. 1 second, because I need to remember the name of her sire. Eh, yeah. He was the one who has caused Franklin his final death. You remember Franklin, right, my sire?
See, how can I forget?
So it has become personal. But with this comes an unguarded territory which me and my new coterie plan to take. And what I ask from you is not your presence in physical form, but your presence in men to help us keep this territory.
How much in numbers are we talking about? Malta's quite small and you're already overpopulated with kindred.
So the territory is Pieta. While it is not the largest, it is not the smallest. Like if Mumbles would think about this like in a strategic way, like what number would make sense? Like there's probably like maybe like two main like entry and exit points that like I don't really know.
So Pietà is quite a central piece of the island, which is touching with essential points such as Hamrun, Msida, and the like. So
Mhm.
it's quite a strategical point. Not to mention, Pietà is the home to the political parties in Malta. The HQs are both found there, which was a
Oh.
one of the major moves that the kindred had made in order to control humans and
Oh, that is actually a very good location then for them to actually have influence over.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's quite an important piece.
yeah. So she will relay that information and say, since this is quite a strategic place, I would say though, for subtlety's sake, we do not send in the whole family, of course, but perhaps like what number would make sense to like, because I'm also like he's probably going to send like maybe like a couple of kindred, like maybe five kindred each with like a group of like six mafioso, maybe. Like, does that make sense?
And when you
To
say
like,
mafioso, you're talking about goons.
yeah, like goons, but like probably because I can imagine like they work in squads. So you have like one kindred who's like in charge of a squad that maybe has like one ghoul, and then like the rest is all
Given if it had been a normal situation where you're just taking over, two or three would be enough. But seeing
okay.
that the Inquisition is involved, a fourth might be, and it's something that you might want to keep in mind. A fourth might be necessary because of
Yeah,
the situation.
a fourth squad, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would propose, especially with the Camarilla getting in bed with the Inquisition, 4 squads, and I should be able to relay with them so we can put them in a position where they are not too obvious. Because whilst presence may be noted, it is still anarch territory, and how it's probably expected by the other barons as well. And if we prove that we can deal adequately with the territory and with the oncoming threat of the Inquisition aligning with the Camarilla, I do not fear too much trouble. And of course, it would be a good position for our family to be in, influencing the local politicians.
Hmm. I could send in the requests by latest tomorrow, 11 p.m. landing. I'm just looking at the flight schedules as we speak, unless we go the longer route, which can take a bit, maybe a day more. But tell me, child, I'm finding it very difficult to understand how this is going to benefit me.
Well, we deal with things a little bit differently back
Yes.
in Italy. And these problems that have been coming up, I have seen they are not being dealt with. So, if I and my coterie deal with these problems along with your help, that is going to create a certain power dynamic. See?
Mhm. And in this, I would imagine that I would have you owe me a boon.
Indeed. One that I shall replay with the influence and power and income I should get from this territory.
And forgive me for asking, but would not the coterie that you're hanging out with there be a problem with sharing this territory?
Well, they are not in a position to argue, let's say. My coterie, whilst useful, they simply do not have the resources to make this territory safe. And I do. Whilst there might be an issue with one of my coterie mates, should he become more than annoying, he should be easily dispatched of.
Hmm. I will send your request as soon as possible. You should receive them by next night fall. Perhaps a bit later than that. As I said, the schedule of the flights seemed to be quite late, but by 11 in the evening tomorrow, you should have your power requested. I only
I
ask for one thing to make sure that I'm not getting myself into unnecessary um, political kindred agendas with the island. I request that somehow, in some way, that you send me some form of portfolio of your, um,
coterie.
yes, your
That I
coterie.
can do.
Hmm. I want to know what I'm dealing with and what I'm getting in bed with. So,
I will get on that right away.
oh, and Mumbles, I heard news that you have a pup with you,
A pup.
a Russian.
Ah, yes, a feral one. Not from the cities like me.
She's a problem, Mumbles.
How so?
Well, the feral kind seem to be after her, as she's the last one living. They've already made a scene here thinking that she would have found haven. It seems that they were mistaken, but it would seem that they got their information. She is on the island.
You
And
mean
a resource
you?
tell me you have her in your care.
Indeed, you are referring to the dogs.
Indeed, those foul smelling creatures. Malta can't take that kind of heat, and I find myself in a position where what you're offering me might be good, but it feels like I'm entering into a crossfire of many things. Camarilla, the Inquisition, and my biggest fear, the werewolves. But that can easily be sorted if you just either dispose of her as you see fit or, well, hand her over.
I see. As you know, Baron Esposito, there is no reward without risk, and for all intents and purposes, she is loyal to me. And should we manage to kill this dog that is looking for her, it might discourage others from trying to fuck with us.
Or find it as a challenge. Russians don't back down quite easy. But we will see when the matter comes at hand. In the meantime, I just need you to be very vigilant.
I will. And naturally, if people ask too many questions, we sort this in the business as usual way. For all they know, Italians have been attracted by the Maltese working climate and found themselves in the area. Oh, and one more thing. This vampire hunter called the dentist that I spoke of earlier, who had killed Franklin. It seems he had managed to steal dragon's breath from Rome. You might want to
And
look into that.
where is this weapon you speak of now?
I think, just out of character, I think Mumbles did take the ammunition, I remember.
I know that after you guys disposed of him, um, someone took it. I don't remember who. I might have to go over the footage, but
Yeah, I think it was Mumbles though, because she was like the one that like killed him and took his stuff and like was alone with the body. Well, before it turned to ash, but I'm not super 100% sure.
okay. Well, we'll have a look at it.
So
But
either she has it, and if not, she would say that she will take it into her possession if that's what the Baron wants.
yes, let's make sure it doesn't come into the wrong hands.
Indeed.
Mumbles, it has been a pleasure. I believe business is going to bloom this way.
That is the aim.
Once it is concluded, I will make a personal visit myself.
I would be honored, Baron.
It would be nice to know what you have accomplished and see it for myself. In the meantime, bonsoir.
Good night.
Buonanotte.
Buonanotte, Baron. Beep,
Beep.
beep.
All right.
Yes, time to make some notes. Yeah, the goal is definitely for Mamos to be like to try and turn this territory in something that is very useful for the mafia, like influence the politicians, make money, maybe some arms trade. Who knows?
Definitely. I mean, we're working towards a climax here, which is going to be one hell of a showdown. So I'm counting on everyone's participation
Yeah.
in some way or another to be spectacular.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely wants to turn this into a project, yeah? Like,
Oh yeah,
and
sounds like it for sure.
because the thing is that, like, when we were thinking about, like, oh, we can take the territory, I'm like, yeah, our coterie is strong enough to, like, be able to make the initial move, but we need, like, some muscle to be able to say to the other barons, like, yeah, no, this is ours now, and you're not going to take it from us, you know?
Yeah.
And Milana is here on her own. Um, or Ethan's character is like used to be tied up with the police, but not really. Then like Athena, she's got like her personal kind of servants, but they're not really suited, I would assume, to like guard and like make illegal stuff happen. And yeah, Luke's character, whilst he does have his club and like his weird servants, like Mumbles feels like, yeah, like I can bring this to the table, and like this, she can kind of like strong arm some of her wishes as well. And yeah, any problems, you're free to walk away. And if you're going to cause more than just annoyance, you're going to be dealt with in mafia fashion, swimming with the fishes.
The biggest power play that your character has done so far, to be honest. So it seems like you have got the edge going on now.
You gotta watch for the quiet ones. That's how it always goes. When people underestimate you, that's like the best position to be in.
Yep, and you're exploiting it, which is good.
Yeah. And like Frank has like a right to be suspicious, but the lucky thing is like she's not doing it to harm the coterie. In fact, she's trying to help it. But yeah,
One must think of themselves sometimes.
right. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Cool.